take it. Man, I think we're just killing it on Ostrom's principles in general. It's, I mean, legal is so great, and I feel like Juan Carlos on monitoring and conflict res has really been killing it. The nested, like, wow. You know, we're just like, the working groups are so well nested into everybody, and it all seems so effortless. I think one thing that might help that we could work on and do a better job is the boundaries. I mean, I think we're still doing a pretty good job, but building a stronger boundaries and like using that as like, knowing where they are. I feel like people don't really know. Am I part of the TE Commons or whatnot? Like the only people who know are the stewards, and then like what are the boundaries for other people? I could see that being like an opportunity, but honestly, we're just killing it. So it's I think we're doing pretty well. I'll pass it to Juan Carlos.
I just jumped in the call, so I don't know what is the question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I'll just pass it to someone else. Let's go to Zepti.
Actually, I also jumped after the question.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'll do it again. I'm ready.
I'll repeat the question and then you go, Jake, and then we move on. So reflecting on Ostrom's principles, how are we doing on the implementation? Is there something missing? What has been challenging? And if you have any questions around it. So you go, Jake.
Kind of highlighting too with Griff a bit. I've noticed that we're doing much better in a short amount of time with new people. I think more people that come in are kind of seeing directions they can go. I think even in a short amount of time, we're doing much better at directing that. So I am totally horrible because I'm still not. I was not in the book club. I am not very well on Ostrom's principles, but I will say, like with Griff and boundaries, that the working groups they have their own kind of character and personality based off of the stewards. I think that's a good thing. And I think if we can help facilitate that in different ways, we can also help guide people into different directions that they may, I guess, as they come to it and learn about it, they may see more of a place or fit for them, not just based off of, hey, what's your skill set? They might find out, you know what, this is more aligned in how I think or what I want to do. So I think that helps kind of just direct a bigger spectrum as we grow, because we're going to grow. All right, I'm going to pass it to Mr. Mount Manu. Is that right? Did I do that right?
Yeah, that's right. So do I introduce myself?
Yeah, we have an intro question that it might be hard for you because you just joined, but we've been implementing Ostrom's principles in the TEC. Ostrom is an economist, writer that won the Nobel Prize for governing the commons. So we've been implementing her work in our culture. And the question is, how have we been doing that, reflecting on Ostrom's principles and what has been challenging? But since you haven't seen it, most of the work so far, if you have any questions around it.
I wouldn't know where to start, honestly.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. That's a hard one for someone joining, but I'll pass to
here.
Yeah, Turgatas.
Yeah, so I'm mostly here for the culture and not for the tokens or the engineering. So, but from my perspective, I love the idea of Ostrom's principles, although I've recently sort of been turned on to a few things that seem to matter culturally that I think could help. And a couple of those things are like paradox management theory is one, because I hear an awful lot about alignment in this situation, and it feels to me like paradox management theory kind of takes issue with that in many ways, and sort of shows you the limitations of some of the alignment-based ideas, and so yeah, I've been kind of exploring those things a little bit, and I feel like Ostrom is good, and we are talking about the commons, but my thing is, as well as we might be doing with Ostrom, I think it really makes the most sense to the people who sort of began the whole operation and who are the stewards and have this sort of overview. I still find myself perpetually confused about just about everything here. So I feel like I'm almost physically suffering because I don't get the overview that I need out of this. And I've read a million things and read all the communications bits, and I still don't sort of fully understand, and it has taken me almost 5 months of to get to this point. So it just seems like a little bit too much, I think, for the average person. And now we've got one hive, which seems to me, as I look around there, to be nearly identical in every way, and so I can't tell the difference between them and us. So in many ways, I feel like, yeah, it's great for Ostrom, and it's great for people who kind of are crypto natives and have been in this space for a long time. But for folks like me who are kind of new, I feel like I'm still a little left behind.
I can take it, and I would say that we have been doing really good in the theory, because we have like concerned to have work and propose a strategy for each of the Ostrom principles. But now then we have to jump into practice, and that is like a big leap, because there is always like the theory and then the practice, and like, yeah, the theory of gravity is that we will be able to solve our conflicts and to turn them into opportunities of improvement. But maybe in the practice, there are harder problems that are difficult to handle, and we will need to then innovate again and try to propose improvements for our own initial theories. And like we have clearly defined boundaries, but we are now like stepping up, like moving into a new Discord is also like defining better our boundaries, and then we will have to have congruence between appropriation and provision, and this is like the part where it's so important to choose good parameters. And yeah, I think that also we are like starting to prove some of our processes, like I and the organization is going to start like having the first issues, and that is like good for like for us to face the reality of our goals, because like it's not that we are gonna get to an end state where everything's gonna go well, but we are always going to be looking for ways of improving. So yeah, that's really great for like preparing ourselves and studying, but now it's like we have to go through fire, and that is what will like measure the success and of all the efforts that we have been doing. And I will pass it to Nate.
Yeah, have to give it up to you, Juan, with the gravity working group and everything in terms of Ostrom's principles. Dispute resolution. You guys are doing it, and so huge praise for that. I think we also do a really good job at defining group boundaries, which is still we're finding ourselves, but those boundaries are there. The only criticisms I think I would have would be our monitoring. I'm not sure about the infrastructure that we're building for monitoring each working group and monitoring each of the roles that we have, but I think some improvements could be made. And maybe I'm just not seeing the whole picture yet, but I think we're, as far as Ostrom's principles, I think we're doing really well in applying them to the TEC. So yeah, I will pass it to Santi.
Thank you, Nate. I think there's one thing that we're improving and getting better and better, which is onboarding. I have that sense. And there is a challenge that not that I want to see it happen, but because it's not going to be good when it happens, but trying to see how we deal with sanctions and conflicts and all that, it's going to be a challenge. And we've been working a lot on that, and Juan Carlos is doing a great job. But I feel I'm curious about how we're going to deal with that when it ever appears, because that's probably one of the most important differentiation we have with the rest of the DAOs out there. And it's good that we're working on that direction. I'm just curious to see how everything is going to come together when we need to use it. And I'll pass it. I don't know if Septimus went.
No, thank you, Santi. I think overall we are doing a great job implementing them. Regarding the monitoring, Nate, on transparency, we're working on this audit for all the working groups. And also, if you like to contribute on them, I really love to help you to sing with all the job we've done before, and integrate all your great feedback, because you're super smart and I know that. Just integrate that. The only thing I think, I mean, for example, for the rules and boundaries, I feel I know them, but it's just a feeling, because maybe I'm here for a very long time, but it's not like a place where I go and I see all these rules and boundaries. But I feel like with the culture we're building, I feel integrated. But for someone who's new, I don't know if they knew like the whole thing, like the price system, like there is a lot of things I they are there, but I don't know how to share it with the new members, and I'll pass it to Dan.
Dan, are you there?
Oh, Dan. I missed the question. Actually, I was trying to make sense of the question through the answers. Not entirely
The
sure.
question is, reflecting on Ostrom's principles, how are we doing on the implementation? Is there something missing? What has been challenging, or if you have any questions?
No, I'm psyched. I haven't been in Softgov in a while, and the kind of growth that has been happening, just being not entirely outside looking in, but at least in the sidelines, in the border, for a couple of weeks. It's simply beautiful. I mean, like just very much looking forward to the documentation of everything. Basically, I always had the question, like, if I want to show somebody external, like a map of what is going on in the TEC, is there like a map, one link to rule them all, something like that? Maybe that's going to be the website, but yeah, that's something I'm very much looking forward to. And I'll pass it back to you, Libby, because I don't know who hasn't gone yet.
Yeah, that's a really good point. A map. We could definitely work on that if somebody feels inspired. I'll pass it to Jess.
Hey, thanks, Livy. I wanted to come. I really missed these meetings. And I think it's very interesting to reflect on this. I would agree with a lot of the people and kind of echo what's been said so far, and just add, the boundaries. I think we've been doing great, and we should remember that this is pioneering work, that, we are the first people to really do this. And so it's been fantastic. And of course, I think the areas for improvement are definitely in documentation and directing some energy towards, yeah, that map as well. Dan, I feel the communications we could improve there. And then also on the decision making, participatory decision making, and having some more documentation and sharing, because many other communities are coming and asking, what are some different mechanisms, and from a community side of how to make decisions and what decisions are delegated. So I think exploring more in that direction would be great. And also there's a continued challenge of keeping people engaged when it comes to voting, especially people who are participating in multiple DAOs or commons. And the final thought was on number 8, the nested communities. I think we're doing really great within the TEC, but a potential area for exploration and growth is to look at DAO to DAO collaborations. And that's a very early area as well that's completely kind of open for. So sinking in with some of that research and trying some things out in the future, looking down the road. But thank you. And I don't think Tamara has gone yet, or maybe I missed it because I jumped.
I have not, so I'll go now. Now, being one of the last people to go, I always want to give reflections on what other people have said, but I'll try to keep that part brief. I love what Jess said about us being pioneers. I think we should always keep that in mind. This is just something that hasn't been done before. And then what Santi said with respect to scales, and we have some really interesting, we have some really cool processes that are mapped to Eleanor Ostrom's principles. Conflict resolution is a great one, or participatory decision-making, clear boundaries. But how does that scale when there's, 5 times or 10 times the number of participants that we have, or community members that we have than we do now? So that's also really, that really resonated with me too. I think we're doing pretty great in terms of implementing. I think that there is maybe still some challenges, but I think that we take each challenge as it comes up. The participatory decision making is sort of gone from, Discord emojis to the forum to the next phase, which will be token log, weighted voting to dandelion voting. So I think that a lot of these are just, we have to take steps to reach the desired goal. Yeah, transparency is killing it with monitoring. I don't know that we've had a chance to test out graduated sanctions yet. Maybe we have sort of a theoretical idea about how we could implement it, but we haven't yet had to. So I think it's going to be interesting to see when we actually have to run some of these theories in practice. I'll pass back to you, Livia. I joined late as well and don't know who hasn't gone.
Thanks, Tam. I think Mateo.
Yep. Hey, everyone. So I don't have like a strong opinion on how we're doing stuff here, as I am really partial here, but I do like to mention some stuff that I noticed on my oversight, and it's mainly related. I agree with everything that you guys said, because it's true, mainly in the nesting part, because I believe that the cultural aspect that is being moving around the working groups and how we are actually working, it's really great, and I think that's amazing, at least of how the Softgov working group has made an impact in that aspect. But I believe that we are missing in how the relationships and how the cultural aspects of everyone's work will have an effect or a consequence outwards our community, because in the end, the commons, if we take the last principle about how the nested tiers grow from lower to the whole interconnected system, we are not that robust looking outwards, looking outside our own community, and that's a problem that we may start considering, and that connects to the scaling problem, because in the end we are doing amazing between the people that is working currently and amazing with the new people, hopefully. But eventually, when there is not only one commons, or where there starts to be many other groups, how we are going to make that flow between the cultural aspects and the way the energy flows between the parts. So in that, I think we have a lot to work to do, but in everything else, I believe that is really great. The other part that I was thinking is about the learning curve that can be a little bit tough, but thinking about what Jessica said, that we are pioneering is like the least that we could expect. It's too complex to expect the learning curve to be smooth. So for anyone that could try to join in, even if you make the best literature, the best way to communicate, it can be a little bit hard. And it's not only a problem of us, it's really a problem that is shared between all the communities in the crypto space, blockchain, and whatever. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm not sure who's missing.
Tonga, I think you're the last one.
Hello. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on how we are doing. I think when there is a real funding pool in this community, it's going to be the time when we are going to see how good we are doing now, preparing for when it is for real money, I guess, and see how people behave. So yeah, I don't know much more. I've been just focusing on code, but I've been like I believe the mutual monitoring has been very good. Like I have not been coming to these sessions, but I still see what most people are doing, and I feel that other people see what I do, and we every day look at the computer and see what we can do or how we can. So yeah, for now I don't have much more to say. Pass it back to you, Lee.
Cool. I think that was everyone. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. This is super helpful. Just to have this checking of where we're at. Sometimes I think it's hard when we're so involved, so to have this out perspective. So it's really great to hear all of this and reflect on all of these points. And also, if anyone has ideas that come out of it, like I loved this of having a map of the community. I think this would be super great. We mentioned briefly in a comms call one day. I think Jeff was there also talking about these visuals of how to like have a more macro and a micro perspective that you can zoom in and out. That would be so awesome to have. So I want to talk a little bit about this GitBook. Let me share my screen. I think this will address a lot this point of the boundaries and the rules, hopefully. A place where people can arrive and see like, oh, what is this community, until where it goes, what are the actions I can take. And I think this is a lot about the boundaries and rules. So here in the agreements part, we should have just this introduction and the general code of conduct, and explain a little bit what is this, why we are, why do we have this document, what are the boundaries, what are the rules, explain a little bit what Ostrom talks about. if anyone is interested in taking this part to work on, maybe someone that came to the book club, like Nate or Juan or Tim or Mateo, you came a few times too. Zeptimus, if you guys feel inspired to take this intro part, let me know.
I feel inspired, Livia.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so it would be a fusion of the mental map that that Dan suggested. Is this? I mean, this could be the input for the. I'm really good at mental mapping and modeling with an XMind, which is a software that does that. So again, I do it, and then I give it to you, Livia, so you can green light it. But yeah, it would be a great way for me to get familiarized with everything that you guys are doing and to contribute. So
cool. Yay, thank you. So I'll add an issue to, I still use pen and paper. Let me take a note here. So add an issue to GitBook for you to work on the map then?
Yes.
And then this part is a little bit different. It's just like this kind of the intro, the first page of the TEC agreements and how, why are they here? What are you going to find in this booklet? And more of an explanation of like, how are we approaching boundaries and rules?
I'd like to support.
Nate, I almost thought you were going to unmute. Sorry, Zatum.
I'd like to support on this, not carrying the flag, but yeah, do some work sessions with the people you mentioned or who want, and yeah, work on it together.
We throw the Ostrom's 8 principles right there on the front page.
Nice. Okay. So Zap and Nate, you guys can collaborate on this. I'm happy to help too. Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Okay, so the first part, I thought of having some type of an intuitive order between all the parts. So first, the hatch DAO, that is what we're gonna start with, and all of them will have this like tiny subtitle, and then an about is a little explanation, and then in the hatch DAO case, Griff worked with me this week. Thanks, Griff. I think we got to a good point for this section now. I think it's ready. So how to become a hatcher is a quick explanation of the trusted seed, the Swiss association, and then the hatch DAO main actions. So a little glossary here of what is hatchers, what is impact hours tokens. And then we try to put in order what are all of the actions that someone can take in the hatch DAO, and then what are required, what are discouraged. This map that explains like visually all of the actions above and relevant resources. And then the next one, gravity, because it's been like a big pillar for us. And I think it's important for everyone in the community to have quick access to it, to at least know that this exists on the top of the mind, that we have a conflict management practice. And then once the gravitons once graviton training is finished and we have a list of gravitons, then we can add here. And then anytime people need, they can check who are the main points of contact and what is gravity, what they can expect from it, what they can do if they are a graviton. And this has all of the links too. We just have to add the resources. And then I added transparency that we didn't have in the time we started to create all of this. But it's super important, and it ties up with gravity, and it explains a lot of the mechanics of how mutual monitoring is going to work. And then advice process. So here's the whole like decision-making governance section that is advice process, the forum voting, and so on. And then also source cred I added because we can go to the next topic from here. That is source cred updates that Mateo and I are working on this proposal. So we thought that the best framing for the source cred proposal is not like accepting source cred as a community, because we already took this decision. And we've been trying to explore a lot this concept of not needing to vote for all the decision making. So we've been talking about source cred for so long that I think we can assume that is a decision we took collectively. And what needs to be approved is the use of a committee. So we are proposing that source cred will have a committee that will make this and this and this decisions, and then we listed them all here. So the committee will choose how tokens are going to be distributed, how much will be distributed in every distribution period, how often should the distribution occur, what is the percentage that goes to old and recent contributors, and how the community interacts with the parameters through data analysis. But then all of this, we'll have a process for each one of these things. And why is it different than a working group? Just because the committee gets together by summoning. So it's not like a recurring meeting that is always there, but whenever something needs to be addressed, then these people come together. And we were exploring like, what type of people do we need? Do we need like a data scientist? Do we need a developer with which type of understanding? So we're putting all of these things in the document. And if anyone also wants to jump in and has something to say and wants to help us in this process before we post in the forum, I know Santi was going to have a look at it. So I talked a lot. I'm just going to open and see if you guys have any reflections, questions so far.
I've been taking a look at the document that you and Mateo were working on for the proposal, and I've added a couple of suggestions. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to go over it. They were very minor suggestions, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that although we may be giving impact hours initially, because that's the monetary somehow value that we use now, and ideally we might be using token engineering tokens, anytime we can distribute anything that we may want, that we have funds. Okay, and that's open. Any distribution can decide which type of contribution reward wants to give, and that should be clear, because it may change in the future if we decide as a DAO that we want to change. Okay, and that was something I added. And I don't know, there was another minor change that I added. I haven't had time to go over and create that graphic that I wanted to create. I had a small conversation with the guys at One Hive, and they are willing to give us a hand. So hopefully I will talk to them and get some clarification on that, and probably add that chart into the document so everyone has a clear picture of more or less what all those parameters are. I also was going over the documentation on source cred. There's a little bit more of explanation. I will share that with you, Livy and Mateo. I don't know if Mateo have seen it yet. And we might be able to get some info from there already, but probably talking with One Hive is gonna be the final conversation that's going to clarify most of our doubts.
That's great. Thanks, Santi. That's awesome. They want to help. I was telling Mateo that we should do 2 separate posts. One that is mostly informative, just to have that it's basically this top part that you guys worked on it already, and it's basically ready to post. And then the other one would be the proposal for the committee. I don't know, Mateo, if you have something to add here.
No, I think it's, I guess, really clear that a post is not supposed to be a proposal, but more of an explanatory document. So everyone can get and follow for example, the last analogy that we made with the buckets and the water flow to explain how source code works. So everybody that jumps in and tries to understand what's going on can really get it quite fast. So yeah, the document is intended to that. And for the proposal, yes, I think you mentioned all the important points. I don't have much to add.
Zap, you wanted to say something before?
I wanted to say like this GitBook. I didn't knew it. I didn't knew about it, and it looks so cool. And I'm so excited to work with it on it on the agreements with Nate. It's so cool, really.
Yeah, I'll send you guys the link. I'll send everyone who wants the link to edit it. Please let me know. I posted in a few channels before, but then now I'm thinking like it's super open. It's just clicking that link and then you have permission to edit. So it might be good to be a little careful of like how we distribute the link, but anyone who requests, then we can share. I think that's a good metric. So we can move on to the next topic, that is mutual monitoring. So yeah, I think it's good to bring this up. That is something Zaptimus is working a lot on, and I see from the comments we had now that is still very unknown for people. So we can we can discuss this document. Zap, you want to talk about it?
Well, we had an issue about the mutual accountability on the TEC, and what I first do was all the metrics we're using, at least which I know, and then on transparency with Ivy, we were brainstorming on it, but yeah, the idea was to bring it to Softgovs, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, the idea is to hack on it. Maybe we can even do it silent, like for example, we have access to this document. Everyone can edit, and yeah, we just go on everything on every point of that, and we share our thoughts. And the idea is like after we have all the input from the community, make the proposal on the forum so everyone is aware of.
Yeah, so there are a few topics here for mutual accountability. We could do like a quick round to see if people have any to add or if there's agreement around this one. So meetings being recorded is a mutual accountability method. Assigning one person on the GitHub issues, graduated sanctions. I think, I'm not sure if this is mutual accountability. I think it enters then on graduated sanctions. That is like another topic. It's like, how do we deal with a lack of accountability or conflict or Like it's a product of mutual accountability, I think.
Yeah, that's right. We just delete that one.
And then the transparency audit, the code of conduct, I think might also not be a mutual accountability method. Or it is, like we agree that the collective comply to the code of conduct.
Yeah, when I added it, I was thinking like the code of conduct, like reading it, then we, as an individuals, we check like everyone is following that. But on that point of view, but yeah, maybe it's unclear.
Yeah, probably the code of conduct and the rules and boundaries are like metrics for mutual accountability. It's like when everyone is, when there is this mutual observation of everything that is happening, the metric for understanding how are we doing in community is the code of conduct and the rules and boundaries.
Yeah, I agree.
Does anyone has other things to add to this document?
Yeah, I would just say that I think this is extremely important, but I also think that internally within the working groups, we could have a lot of cultural norms being built in terms of how we monitor each other's work, in terms of just saying, one person does this, especially as we scale, we're going to need more accountability in terms of the tasks that are being done. Even if we just get into the practice of having working groups assigned a 2-person task force for a certain assignment, and have multiple people working on it as they go and presenting as they come along, I think would be very helpful. And then Zeptimus, like the things you're working on are the bigger ones, like the infrastructure pieces of saying like, how do we keep multiple working groups accountable at once, and how do we keep the people in contact? How do we make it easy for people to interact with other working groups that they're not necessarily a part of? Because I think that is a huge one, especially if you're doing something in the context of the entire TEC, but you need informational pieces from different working groups. And so I think that's a really good document right now, which you have right now as Optimus. So good job.
I think like GitHub is a very very good tool we're using a lot for the mutual monitoring, and especially this new thing we do to only assign one people. So it makes when you are the only one assigned, it makes you to feel like you are the one responsible to make this issue done, even if that's something I talk with Griff. For example, maybe it's an issue I'm assigned, but it's Griff doing it, and yeah, my job is like, hey Griff, we should how do we do that and help. Yeah, my mission is to get this issue done since I'm assigned. And I think that's a really good thing we do. Only assign before, because time ago we assigned more than one people, and sometimes issues like and now we do that, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, this is an interesting about how SourceCred can gamify it in a beneficial way, because it's like, oh, GitHub is awesome for accountability, but then who uses GitHub? But then if we have a weighted incentive from SourceCred for people to use GitHub, and especially for making issues, then it's like a funneling around. Okay, so moving on. Griff, do you think you can give us a word about Celeste and disputable voting? Juan brought it up with some questions, and I think it's something we haven't like debated in a call before.
Absolutely. So the general concept is that OneHive has created a decentralized court that to be part of this court, you have to have a bright ID, so you have to be an individual, and you can a proof of uniqueness. That's what bright ID provides. So one person as a court member can have like multiple addresses, and then they put a cap of how much collateral in honey you put down. And the idea there is that, hey, you need to respond when you call on a juror. And so now you have this like market of jurors that say, hey, I'll be around and I'll make good decisions. And then they're there anytime there's a dispute. So it's a third party, an independent party of people who are there knowing it's their job to figure out the truth. So to apply this within the common stack design, anytime we make a vote, whether it's a vote to change the parameters or a vote within conviction vote, we'll vote. This is a big decision, so this is something that we should vote on. But we will use disputable voting and disputable conviction voting. So instead of having dandelion voting, we'll have disputable voting, which has all sorts of cool upgrades. But I'll just talk about the disputable part. So the way it works is that you will have a proposal fee deposit for every proposal, and that can just be an X-Stack, right? And then if someone says, the other piece is that for every voting scenario, you have to have a written agreement. You have to have some expectations set, which we're already doing. So it's really easy for us. It's probably something to dissuade most DAOs that just DAO it. But for us, we were already planning on doing this, so it's easy. It's like what kind of the rules that say this is what we're trying to do. This is the range of what acceptable proposals should be targeting to do. So in conviction voting, for instance, if someone says, hey, I want to firebomb a house, like, great idea, bad idea. It doesn't fit our agreements. That's not what we're trying to do as a token engineer. And so instead of having to like try to vote no or anything like that, which we can't even do in conviction voting, someone could challenge it. So the person had to put down a deposit, and then someone here has to match the deposit. Well, technically, we can change the challenge amount and the action amount. Those are what the parameters are called. But I imagine we'll just keep them the same. I don't know. That'll be up to the community to decide, right? We don't get to pick parameters. No technocracy over here. Okay, but not much. Not as much as there could be. Anyway, so there's the action amount and the challenge amount, and those will both be an X-Stack, right? But if this person who says, hey, I want to firebomb a house, they get challenged, and they're like, no, this is what the token engineering commons is all about, right? They can respond to that challenge by putting up honey. So the honey is the currency of Celeste and our external court. So they would put up some honey and say, no, this is real, right? And then the challenger would also have to put up honey, saying, no, it's not. And then it would go to the court. And then the court jurors would decide. But as you can see, there's these multiple steps. It's very rare that things will go to the court. The guy who's firebombing wants to firebomb a house. He knows he's not supposed to do that. He's probably not going to put up more collateral, more honey, to try to get this to go to court. You know, like that would be kind of crazy. So the guy who challenges it will just get his deposit when he doesn't do anything. And there'll be a period of time where the person who proposed has to act. Otherwise, the deposit goes to the other person. Yeah, I feel like that's enough of an.
So my question would be if we can say that the boundary of gravity and the conflicts that we cannot address through gravity can scale to Celeste, or maybe they're for different things? Because like as I see gravity, is like yes, as like an internal management layer, and is to solve like the disputes within the organization. But if we have to go to Celeste, then it's not a self-compositive way. It is an heterocompositive way, because we are looking for a third, an external actor to help in the settlement of the dispute. So yeah, like my question is that like the boundary of the things that cannot be solved with gravity, then will go to Celeste, or if they serve for different purposes.
I think that it would be difficult to use Celeste. There needs to be, the requirements for Celeste is there needs to be a clear agreements, which I think we do have. Like we can have, you know, Gravity has documents and Softgov has documents, and these things can be submitted to, you know, when you go to Celeste and for action to settle a dispute, you submit extra evidence to Celeste and the jurors for their review. But you know, so we have those documents, but it's really about settling a military dispute or a procedural dispute. Like, for instance, if one person feels like someone else Celeste isn't built like, oh, you can sue that person, you know, or something like that. I want to, you know, it's not really, that would, I mean, maybe one day it could scale to that level, but it's definitely not built for that today. It's really just built for conviction voting and disputable.
Griff, within the disputable voting, does the vote have to take place before you can send it to the court?
The proposal has to take place. So
okay, so
when
you can
the
do it before.
proposal gets it's generally done during the vote, you could say, right? So when I make a proposal, instantly it goes up for vote. And if someone's like, that's not what we're supposed to do, that is against our terms of service, this is against our collective agreement, then during the vote it gets challenged, and that stops the vote.
Okay.
I should say, like, those details, I'm like 80% sure. Let me just say. I'm pretty confident that there's no, like, waiting period before the vote starts. Pretty sure the vote starts and then it goes. And for all of the voting, like conviction voting and disputable voting, they have time limits that it takes before they can be successfully, you know, and executed. So there's a vote could even I believe a vote could even be passed, and then there's like a delay, and even during that time it could be challenged.
Is this a feature of dandelion voting, or is it going to be like another instance?
It's a totally different instance. So the differences between dandelion voting and disputable voting are strong. The biggest difference is that there's no rate mechanism. There's no like exit. For disputable voting, we don't need it because we will be using, so that like we're launching in 2 phases, right? Dandelion voting is perfect for the first phase because anyone who participates, if they don't like the way the commons is going to be upgraded, they can rage quit, they can exit, they can burn their TECH tokens, and take their share of the redeemable pot. Once the upgrade happens, we'll have a bonding curve. So the bonding curve serves as the rage quit. We don't need that in the disputable vote. And the rage quit mechanisms adds in all these other stupid things that we have. So all those other weird, like, like vote buffer delay, and I don't know. There are a couple other like weird parameters that we have to set that only mitigate problems with the rage quit mechanism. Like those go away, and the new disputable voting is kind of the next evolution of Aragon voting, and it includes delegation, which is super cool. No delegation for conviction voting, but delegation within like parameters. Like if you're like, I don't know what to do about like if we should raise the exit tribute or change the shape of the bonding curve, I'm going to delegate that to Sam. He builds this stuff, you know? You can do that. We have one hop delegation, and we also have this wait for quiet stuff. There'll be a forum post that Mitch is working that will go into the details there.
I had some questions. I'm aware we only have 3 minutes left, but yeah. I don't know if we have an avenue for like further questions, or if we post, I don't know, Griff, if you're going to have like another questionnaire opportunity. Olivia.
I think I can send you I can send you Mitch's document, and if you have some questions there, maybe I'll just post it in soft, because I think it does a good overview of the different parameters that are added and what they mean, and maybe that'll answer it. And if not, we can comments in there. The doc.
I just added his forum post to the agenda.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh.
Let's just debate it.
So I know, Juan, you had a quick question about figuring out Discord and Telegram handles for praise quantification. So maybe we can just leave it as a request for people to like provide both handles, especially in this migration to Discord. So we can dish praise, and it's easier to like see everyone in the new server. Cool. I think that was it. Thank you, everyone. That was a great call. I'll contact you, Manu and Nate and Zap, about next steps of things we discussed. And if anyone has questions, wants to jump in the GitBook, just let me know.